The morning sun spills softly through the curtains. Margaret sits on the edge of her bed, her hands resting on her knees. She takes a slow breath, feeling the familiar tightness across her lower back. It's a quiet reminder of time, of years spent caring for others more than herself. She used to love her garden, the scent of soil, the rhythm of bending and planting. But lately, even tying her shoes feels like a small mountain to climb. She closes her eyes and remembers how easy it once was to move. Her body, once strong and free, now feels like it's wrapped in invisible strings. Still, something inside her whispers, soft but steady, "You can start again." It doesn't have to be grand. It doesn't have to be fast. Just one gentle motion, one small step toward ease. Her neighbor had mentioned a class, slow stretches, mindful bends, nothing harsh. Margaret hesitated at first, afraid it might be too late. But the thought lingers. What if movement could feel kind again? What if her back could remember softness? She takes another deep breath. Tomorrow she decides she will try. And maybe she thinks that will be enough. The next morning comes quiet and pale. Margaret wakes to the sound of a bird outside her window. She stretches her arms, but her back resists, stiff like a board. A dull ache hums low across her spine, steady and familiar. She sighs, sitting up slowly, careful not to twist too fast. Her feet find the floor, cold against her skin. The world feels heavy before her first cup of tea. She remembers how mornings once felt light, full of promise. Now they begin with effort, with the silent negotiation between body and will. She walks to the kitchen, each step measured, deliberate. The kettle sings softly, steam rising like a small comfort. As she waits, she presses her hands against her lower back. The tension there feels old, woven deep into her muscles. She wonders when it began, maybe years ago, after long days in the garden. Or maybe it was the slow stillness that crept in during quiet winters. She takes her tea to the window, watching the light shift on the trees. Her reflection looks back at her, calm but tired. She lifts the cup and whispers to herself, "It's just stiffness, not defeat." The words feel fragile, yet real. Later, she opens her small journal, the one her daughter gave her. She writes slowly, carefully. Day 1. My body feels like it forgot how to move. Then she pauses. Outside, a breeze stirs the leaves. Something in that motion stirs her too. Maybe the body just needs to be reminded. She thinks about the class again, the one her neighbor mentioned. A gentle exercise, she said, called knee-to-toe bends. Nothing complicated, nothing rushed. Just small movements to wake up the back and legs. Margaret wonders what that might feel like. To bend even slightly and not fear the pull. To let gravity guide her without pain or hesitation. Her mind drifts to memories, her hands in the soil, her knees bent over rows of flowers. She misses that rhythm, the dance between effort and ease. The thought warms her chest like sunlight through glass. She finishes her tea and stands again. The stiffness greets her like an old acquaintance, neither kind nor cruel. She places her hands on her thighs and breathes in slowly. Then she exhales and leans forward, just a little. Her back protests at first, the muscles tight, unsure. But she stops before pain, holding that gentle edge. A soft stretch spreads behind her knees. It's uncomfortable, but not unbearable. She stays there, breathing, eyes half closed. The world feels still, almost listening. After a few breaths, she straightens again, moving carefully. A small smile crosses her face, not from triumph, but from discovery. Her body didn't break. It simply spoke. And she listened. For the first time in a long while, Margaret feels something she thought she lost. A quiet kind of hope, hidden beneath the ache. She touches her lower back once more, lighter now. Tomorrow, she thinks, she will bend a little deeper. And maybe, just maybe, her body will remember how to move again. The morning light falls softly on the community hall. Margaret stands by the door, her hands gripping the strap of her bag. She hesitates for a moment, feeling her heart beat quick and shy. Inside, she hears low chatter, the shuffle of mats on the floor. She takes a slow breath, then steps in. The air smells faintly of eucalyptus and calm. A group of older adults smile at her, welcoming without words. At the front stands a woman in a light gray shirt, calm and steady. "Good morning, everyone," the instructor says, her voice smooth as water. "Today, we'll begin with something gentle knee-to-toe bends." Margaret watches as everyone spreads out across the wooden floor. She follows quietly, placing her mat near the back. The instructor moves with grace, every motion slow and clear. "Stand tall," she begins, feet hip-width apart, shoulders relaxed. Margaret adjusts her stance, feeling her balance settle. "Now take a deep breath in," the instructor continues. "And as you exhale, soften your knees and let your body bend forward." Margaret breathes in, then out, feeling her body tilt gently. Her fingers hover above her knees, not quite reaching further. A pull stretches through her back, down to her legs. It's a strange mix of tightness and release. "Don't force it," the instructor says kindly. "It's not about touching your toes. It's about listening to your body." Margaret lets her breath flow, slow and steady. Her back trembles slightly, unsure but willing. She feels the stretch behind her knees grow clearer, sharper. Then she rises back up, unhurried, guided by breath. The instructor smiles. "That's it. Let the movement find its rhythm." They repeat it again, a gentle wave of motion. Bend. Breathe. Rise. Each repetition feels a little easier, a little more familiar. Margaret feels warmth bloom across her lower back. It's not pain, it's awakening. The stiffness begins to loosen, replaced by a soft hum of energy. Around her, others move the same way, their faces calm and focused. No one is rushing, no one competing. It feels like a shared silence, a quiet understanding of time and effort. Imagine the breath traveling from your head to your toes, the instructor says. Margaret follows the image, her mind tracing the path of air and warmth. Her shoulders drop. Her spine lengthens. The world outside seems to fade into stillness. In that moment, movement becomes something sacred. She bends once more, slower now with intention. Her fingertips graze the tops of her shins. A smile rises without permission. The simplicity of it feels beautiful. When the class ends, everyone claps softly, grateful and light. The instructor walks over, her eyes kind. "You did well today," she says. Margaret nods, her heart swelling. "It felt peaceful," she whispers. The woman smiles. That's how healing begins, quietly. Margaret steps outside, sunlight warming her face. The breeze carries a promise, gentle and sure. Her body feels different, not fixed, but freer. And for the first time in a long time, she looks forward to tomorrow. The next class begins with the sound of soft music and slow breaths. Margaret rolls her shoulders, feeling the air move easier through her chest. But when the instructor says, "Let's go deeper today," her confidence wavers. She bends forward, eager to reach lower to prove she's improving. Her back tightens suddenly, a sharp reminder of her limits. She gasps quietly, stopping mid-motion. The instructor notices and walks over, calm and unhurried. "Don't push," she says gently. "You're not racing anyone, not even yourself." Margaret exhales, embarrassed but relieved. She nods, straightening slowly, letting her breath guide her movement. "It's not about touching the floor," the instructor continues. "It's about touching patience." Those words land softly but deep. Margaret had always been a doer, always chasing results. But here, progress feels different, smaller, steadier, more human. She closes her eyes, trying again, this time slower. She bends just halfway, feeling the stretch bloom along her hamstrings. It doesn't hurt now. It breathes. Each inhale opens her chest. Each exhale releases the weight behind her knees. Her thoughts quiet down, replaced by the rhythm of breath and balance. Let your body lead, the instructor says, not your mind. Margaret realizes how often she's fought against herself. How many times she ignored her body's whispers for the sake of doing more. Now in this quiet room, she finally listens. Every small motion becomes a conversation. Every tremble, a word of honesty. She bends, holds, breathes, and rises again. And each time, something within her softens. The instructor moves through the group, her voice low and kind. Your muscles remember what care feels like, she says. Don't rush them, remind them gently. Margaret smiles faintly, still bent halfway, still breathing. She feels her back loosen, the tight bands giving way to warmth. The pain she feared begins to change shape, no longer sharp but wise. It tells her when to stop, when to breathe, when to wait. She understands now that stretching isn't just physical. It's trust. Trusting that slow is enough. Trusting that healing doesn't have to hurt. The room moves in unison, a quiet tide of bodies bending and rising. Margaret feels herself becoming part of that rhythm, that patient grace. The instructor closes the session with a smile. Progress isn't measured by how far you bend, she says. It's measured by how kindly you move. Margaret gathers her things, her body warm and steady. Outside, the day is bright, the air crisp and kind. She walks slower than before, but each step feels grounded, deliberate. The stiffness hasn't vanished, but it no longer scares her. She knows now that it's just part of the conversation, one her body and heart can learn together. And as she reaches her garden gate, she whispers softly, patience, not pressure. Then she bends once more, to pick a fallen flower and smiles. Weeks have passed since Margaret first stepped into that quiet room. Each morning now begins with breath instead of ache. She moves slower but smoother, her body remembering how to flow. The stiffness that once ruled her mornings has softened into rhythm. Every bend feels like a small thank you, whispered to her own strength. She stands by her window, sunlight painting her shoulders warm. Then she begins her routine, steady and calm. Feet grounded, knees soft, spine long. She inhales deeply, arms loose by her sides. And as she exhales, she bends forward, slow and kind. Her fingertips glide toward her shins, her breath guiding her like music. The stretch comes, gentle, deep, familiar now. She stays there, counting her breaths. 1, 2, 3. The tightness behind her knees feels like memory being rewritten. She rises again, her movements smooth as water. No struggle, no rush, no fear. Just flow. In the reflection of the window, she sees her own calm face. It's been a long time since she looked that peaceful. Her back feels alive, not heavy. The dull ache that once shadowed her steps has turned into energy. She notices she stands taller, her shoulders no longer curved in defense. Even her walks to the market feel lighter, almost joyful. She laughs more now, quietly, freely, as if laughter itself is part of her stretch. At the next class, the instructor notices the change. You're glowing, Margaret, she says softly. Margaret smiles, a little shy but proud. It feels easier, she replies, like my body is finally listening. The instructor nods. That's because you've started listening first. They move through the sequence together, the group bending in unison. The sound of deep breathing fills the air, like waves meeting the shore. Margaret bends lower this time, fingertips brushing the floor. It's not forced, it happens naturally, like water finding its path. When she rises, she feels something new, not just relief but power. A quiet strength, built one slow bend at a time. Later that day, she returns to her garden. The soil feels cool under her fingers as she kneels to plant a seed. She bends forward steady, her back supple, her breath calm. There's no hesitation, no sharp warning from her body. Just the soft hum of balance. She smiles, realizing how this simple movement had once seemed impossible. Her hands work through the earth, her heart full of quiet joy. Each stretch, each breath, each moment of stillness has led her here. The pain is no longer her story, the movement is. The sun dips lower, light glinting through the leaves. Margaret sits back, wiping soil from her palms. She feels whole, grounded, strong, alive. And as the wind moves gently through her garden, she whispers, "I'm back." This time, she means it in every sense of the word. The park glows golden in the late afternoon sun. Margaret walks slowly toward the open space where the group gathers. Laughter ripples through the air, light and easy. A circle of older adults stands together, mats spread across the grass. Some stretch, some chat, some simply watch the sky. Margaret joins them, greeted by smiles and gentle waves. It feels different here, not just exercise but connection. The instructor begins, her voice warm and grounded. "Let's start with gratitude," she says, "for your breath, your body, your patience." They all inhale deeply, the sound of air filling the park. Then the slow bending begins, knee to toe, breath to breath. Margaret feels the earth beneath her feet, firm and forgiving. Her spine moves like it remembers a forgotten song. Around her, others follow the rhythm, each at their own pace. There's no hurry, no pressure, just presence. She glances at the man beside her. He moves stiffly, uncertain. Margaret smiles and whispers, "Don't rush, just breathe." He nods, and together they move again. Slow and steady. The group sways like tall grass in the wind, united in motion. Every inhale lifts, every exhale releases. The sound of birds mixes with their quiet breaths. Margaret feels her balance strengthen, her legs firm, her back light. She bends a little lower, fingertips brushing the edge of her shoes. The movement feels natural, honest, whole. When they pause to rest, the instructor reminds them gently, "Stretching isn't only for your muscles, it's for your mind too." Margaret nods, she understands now. These moments have become more than practice. They are her reminder to stay kind to herself. To give time, not demand it. As the session continues, the group begins to share stories. One woman talks about walking pain-free for the first time in years. Another laughs, saying her grandchildren now ask her to race. Margaret listens, her heart swelling with quiet pride. Every story feels like proof that movement heals beyond the body. When the class ends, they sit together under the trees. Water bottles clink softly. The air smells of grass and calm. The instructor offers one final piece of advice. 5 minutes a day, she says. That's all it takes to stay open. Margaret smiles. 5 minutes, she repeats. I can do that. They pack up, waving goodbye as the sun begins to fade. Margaret stays a moment longer, feeling the breeze on her face. Her muscles hum with warmth, her chest full of quiet energy. She feels strong, but not in the way she once imagined. It's not about power, it's about peace. As she walks home, she counts her steps, steady, certain, light. Her body feels like it belongs to her again. Each motion, each breath, each small bend reminds her she's alive. And for the first time, she knows this journey isn't just about stretching. It's about finding strength in stillness and joy in the simplest motion. The morning is quiet, painted in soft shades of gold and blue. Margaret stands in her living room barefoot, facing the open window. The air feels cool and kind against her skin. She closes her eyes and listens, not for noise but for calm. The world outside moves slowly, the same rhythm she now carries within. Her mat lies flat on the floor, a space that has become sacred. She begins her stretch as always, with a single deep breath. The sound of it fills the room, steady and strong. Her body follows without thought, muscle memory shaped by patience. She bends forward, spine unfolding like a page turning gently. Her fingertips find the floor this time, no tremor, no strain. She stays there breathing, feeling her back hum with quiet strength. This movement once felt impossible. Now it feels like coming home. She rises slowly, every joint moving in harmony. There's balance, control, ease, the kind she never thought she'd feel again. Margaret smiles softly, eyes still closed. This is what healing looks like, not sudden, not loud, but real. She remembers the first class, the trembling, the fear of pain. Now there's only peace. Her knees bend gently, her spine curves with grace. It's no longer about how far she can reach. It's about how deeply she can feel. Each movement feels like a conversation between body and breath. The stiffness that once ruled her mornings is just a memory now. She opens her eyes and sees sunlight pouring across the floor. The dust in the air dances like small stars. Time feels slower, wider, kinder. Her back feels strong, her hamstrings steady, her spirit quiet. This isn't youth returning, it's something better. It's wisdom resting inside movement. She finishes her stretch and stands still for a moment. Her hands rest lightly on her thighs, her breath steady and full. The world feels balanced, like her body has learned to trust itself again. She looks out the window, watching the trees sway softly. They bend with the wind, never breaking, always returning upright. She understands now that she's the same. The body bends, but it does not give up. It remembers, it adapts, it grows strong through gentleness. Margaret turns off the small speaker beside her mat. The music fades, but the calm remains. She pours herself a glass of water, her hands steady, her heart light. Each sip feels like a reward, earned through breath and time. Outside, a bird lands on the railing, tilting its head toward her. She smiles, whispering to herself, "Stillness is strength." For a moment, she stands there, simply breathing. Then she steps away from the mat, her movements fluid, sure, alive. The day has begun, and so has she again and again and again. The evening light settles softly across the garden. Margaret walks among the flowers, her steps unhurried, her breath even. The same soil she once feared to kneel upon now welcomes her back. She bends to touch a petal, the motion smooth, graceful, easy. Her body no longer argues with time. It moves with it, not against it. She feels her back strong, her legs steady, her spirit calm. The years still rest on her shoulders, but they no longer weigh her down. They lift her, reminders of every breath, every quiet victory. The air smells of earth and peace. She looks toward the horizon, the sky soft with gold. "Thank you," she whispers, though she's not sure to whom. Maybe to her body. Maybe to the gentle patience that brought her here. Movement is no longer a task. It's a language she's learned to speak again. One bend at a time. One breath at a time. She smiles, standing tall beneath the fading light. Her journey is not about youth regained. It's about freedom rediscovered. And tonight she feels completely, beautifully alive.